Welcome back to the Future Strong podcast, where we explore ideas to help us live more fulfilling lives. Today, we're going to be talking about freedom. Not just the kind we often dream about, like endless vacations or financial independence, but a deeper internal kind of freedom, the kind that might actually feel a bit challenging at times.
Yeah, it's interesting because so many of us equate freedom with the absence of external constraints. But true freedom might be more about our internal state. Think about it. We can have all the material comforts in the world and still feel trapped by our thoughts and emotions.
That makes me think about this idea, equanimity. I'm curious, how would you explain equanimity to someone who's never heard of it?
Imagine a still pond. The surface remains calm even as leaves fall and ripples spread. That stillness is like equanimity. It's about finding that inner peace and balance even when life throws unexpected challenges our way. It's about learning to observe our emotions without getting swept away by them.
So it's not about suppressing our emotions.
Yeah.
They're about being present with them.
Yeah.
Without letting them control us.
Exactly. We can acknowledge our feelings without letting them dictate our actions or our sense of self. This ties into the idea of freedom in a profound way. When we're not constantly reacting to external circumstances or internal turmoil, we experience a deeper sense of agency and choice.
I'm also intrigued by this concept of embracing childlike freedom, that uninhibited expression and joy that children seem to have naturally. Is there something we can learn from that as adults?
Absolutely. Think about the way children approach life, with curiosity, wonder, and a sense of playfulness. They're not afraid to express themselves authentically or to embrace their unique quirks. As we grow older, we often lose touch with that sense of freedom as we internalize societal expectations and self-imposed limitations.
It's like we're conditioned to fit into certain molds and to suppress parts of ourselves in order to be accepted. But perhaps a bit of that childlike spirit is exactly what we need to reclaim our true freedom.
It's about rediscovering that sense of playfulness, that willingness to try new things, to express ourselves creatively, and to simply enjoy the present moment. It's about letting go of the need to control everything and embracing the uncertainty of life with a sense of adventure.
And this brings us to the idea of freedom in action. There's this thought-provoking quote I came across. Life is a tragedy for those who feel and a comedy for those who think. It makes you chuckle, but it also highlights a paradox.
It does, doesn't it? It suggests that our perspective shapes our experience. We can get caught up in the drama of our emotions and perceive life as a series of tragedies. Or we can choose to step back, observe, and find the humor in the absurdity of it all.
So it's not about denying our emotions, but about finding a healthy balance between feeling and thinking.
Yeah, precisely. And this ties into those two pillars of freedom you mentioned earlier. Nothing can truly upset you, and nothing external can add to your happiness. These might seem like radical concepts, but they point to a profound truth.
It sounds like true happiness comes from within, not from external circumstances or possessions.
It's something to ponder. If we're constantly seeking happiness outside of ourselves, in things like money status or relationships, we're giving away our power. We become dependent on those external factors for our well-being. And that can leave us feeling empty and unfulfilled.
So how do we cultivate that inner freedom, that sense of happiness that isn't dependent on external factors?
It starts with recognizing that we have the power to choose our thoughts, our beliefs, and our responses to any given situation. It's about cultivating a sense of self-awareness and taking responsibility for our own happiness.
This reminds me of the idea of freedom within self-restraint. It's not about having no rules, but about operating within a framework that supports our growth and well-being.
That's a great point. Think about it like this. Rules and boundaries aren't necessarily restrictive. They can actually create a sense of freedom by providing structure and guidance.
It's like a road with lane markings. They might seem like limitations, but they actually help us navigate safely and efficiently, preventing chaos and accidents.
Exactly. Self-restraint, when applied wisely, isn't about denying ourselves pleasure or joy. It's about making choices that align with our long-term goals and values.
It's about understanding that true freedom isn't just about doing whatever we want in the moment. It's about making choices that support our overall well-being and contribute to a more fulfilling life.
It's about recognizing that our choices have consequences and that we have the power to shape our own destiny through the decisions we make each and every day.
This makes me wonder about the different levels of freedom. Like, is it possible to achieve material success without sacrificing some of our personal freedom?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll explore further. As we delve into the ideas of freedom, responsibility, and self-awareness, we'll be drawing inspiration from thinkers like Camus and Ayn Rand, who offer unique and sometimes challenging perspectives on these concepts.
I'm ready to dive deeper. Camus actually suggests that true freedom can feel burdensome at times. I'm curious to explore why that might be.
It can be burdensome because true freedom requires us to confront ourselves, our fears, our doubts, and our limitations. It asks us to take responsibility for our choices and their consequences. And that can be a daunting task.
It's like the more freedom we have, the more choices we face.
Yeah.
And the greater the potential for making mistakes or feeling overwhelmed by the sheer number of possibilities.
Exactly. And that's where the distinction between freedom from and freedom to becomes really crucial. Freedom from often focuses on escaping negative situations or emotions, while freedom to is about pursuing something positive, something meaningful that aligns with our values.
Could you give us an example of how these two types of freedom might play out in real life?
Think about someone who quits a job they hate without having another lined up. That's freedom from a toxic work environment, but it's only part of the equation. True freedom, the freedom to aspect, comes when that person uses their newfound time and energy to pursue a career path that inspires them, that brings them joy and a sense of fulfillment.
So it's not just about escaping something negative, but about creating something positive in its place. It's about using our freedom to move towards something we truly desire, not just away from something we dislike.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective can make all the difference in how we experience freedom. But it's important to remember that freedom in any form often comes at a cost.
What do you mean by that? We tend to think of certain things as free, like browsing the internet or enjoying nature. But you're suggesting there's a hidden price tag.
Often, yes. We might be trading our time, our attention, or even our privacy for those conveniences. We get caught up in the endless scroll of social media or the allure of online shopping, and we lose track of what truly matters.
It's like we're constantly bombarded with distractions that pull us away from our values, our goals, and even our relationships.
And that can erode our sense of freedom, leaving us feeling scattered, overwhelmed, and disconnected. It's crucial to be mindful of the choices we make and to consider the potential costs, even when something appears to be free.
This makes me think about the struggle of balancing mental sanity and material gain. We work hard, we achieve success, but sometimes we lose sight of ourselves in the process.
It's a common dilemma. We can become so focused on achieving external goals that we neglect our inner well-being. We might achieve financial success, but at the cost of our health, our relationships, or a sense of purpose.
So true freedom isn't just about external accomplishments. It's about finding that balance between material success and inner peace, between achieving our goals and nurturing our souls.
It's about aligning our actions with our values and making choices that support our overall well-being, not just our bank accounts or our resumes.
And speaking of different perspectives on freedom, the material also touches on Ayn Rand's philosophy of extreme self-interest. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this.
While I don't necessarily endorse her entire philosophy, one of her quotes really resonated with me. Ask nothing, expect nothing, depend on nothing.
That's a bold statement. It sounds like she's advocating for complete self-reliance, which can seem a bit extreme.
It can, but I think there's a nugget of wisdom in her words. When we're constantly relying on others for our happiness or our sense of worth, we give away our power. We become vulnerable to disappointment and manipulation.
So it's not about isolating ourselves or rejecting all forms of connection, but about cultivating a sense of inner strength and independence.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that true freedom comes from within. It's about owning our power, embracing our uniqueness, and making choices that align with our authentic selves, even when they go against the grain.
This reminds me of the idea of authenticity, of the key element of freedom in action.
Authenticity is crucial. It's about being true to ourselves. Even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular, it's about letting go of the need for external validation and embracing our imperfections.
It's about recognizing that our worthiness isn't dependent on what others think of us, but on our own inherent value as human beings.
And that realization can be incredibly liberating when we're no longer seeking approval from others. We're free to express ourselves authentically, to pursue our passions, and to create a life that truly reflects who we are.
It's like we're breaking free from those invisible chains of self-doubt and societal expectations that have been holding us back.
And that freedom can be both exhilarating and terrifying. It requires us to confront our fears, to step outside of our comfort zones, and to embrace the unknown with a sense of courage and curiosity.
But ultimately, that's where true freedom lies. It's not about avoiding challenges or seeking comfort. It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience, with all its joys and sorrows, its triumphs and setbacks.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose how we respond to any given situation, and that even in the midst of difficulty, we can find moments of grace, growth, and liberation.
This makes me think about all the times I felt trapped by my own thoughts or emotions. It's like I was creating the bars of my own page.
We all do it to some extent. We get caught up in negative thought patterns or limiting beliefs, and we forget that we have the power to choose different thoughts, different perspective, different ways of being in the world.
So how do we start dismantling those self-imposed limitations? How do we break free from the chains of our own minds?
It starts with awareness, becoming conscious of the thoughts and patterns that are keeping us stuck.
So paying attention to our inner dialogue and noticing those negative self-beliefs that might be holding us back.
Exactly. And then challenging those beliefs, asking ourselves if they're really true or just stories we've been telling ourselves.
Those limiting beliefs are just software programs running in the background of our minds.
Yeah.
And we have the power to rewrite the code.
That's a fantastic analogy. And it highlights the fact that we're not powerless. We have the ability to choose different thoughts, different beliefs, different ways of seeing ourselves and the world.
So it's not about trying to force those negative thoughts away, but about choosing to focus on more empowering ones.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a mindset of growth and possibility, believing that we can change, that we can evolve, that we can create a life that aligns with our deepest desires.
And that's where true freedom lies, isn't it? In that space of possibility, where we're no longer defined by our past or limited by our fears.
It's about embracing the unknown with a sense of curiosity and adventure, knowing that we have the strength and resilience to navigate whatever challenges come our way.
It's about trusting ourselves and the journey, even when things get messy or unpredictable.
Because that's where the real growth happens. That's where we discover our true potential and tap into a level of freedom that's both exhilarating and deeply fulfilling.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. We've covered so much ground, from the concept of equanimity to the importance of self-awareness and the delicate balance between autonomy and responsibility.
It's been a fascinating exploration of freedom in all its complexities and contradictions, and it's really just the beginning.
Because ultimately, the journey towards freedom is an ongoing one. It's something we cultivate every day through our choices, our actions, and our commitment to living in alignment with our authentic selves. As we wrap up our exploration of freedom, I'm wondering what practical steps we can take to cultivate more of that inner freedom in our daily lives.
One practice that's been incredibly helpful for me is mindfulness. It's about taking time to simply observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment. Notice those patterns that keep us feeling stuck, or those negative beliefs that limit our sense of possibility.
So it's like hitting the pause button on that autopilot mode we often slip into. And becoming more present, more aware of what's actually happening within us.
Exactly. And from that place of awareness, we can start to make different choices. Choices that are aligned with our values, our goals, and our overall well-being.
It's not about trying to control those thoughts and emotions. But about becoming more conscious of them. It's about recognizing that we have a choice in how we respond.
Precisely. Another key aspect is setting healthy boundaries, learning to say no to things that drain our energy, that don't align with our priorities, or that compromise our sense of self.
It's about protecting our time and energy so we can focus on what truly matters. And I think it also ties into that idea of self-restraint we were discussing earlier.
It does. It's about recognizing that true freedom isn't about indulging every whim or impulse. It's about making choices that support our long-term well-being and contribute to a more fulfilling life.
It's about understanding that sometimes saying no to something externally can actually create more space for freedom internally.
Exactly. And it's also important to remember that we can't control external circumstances. We can't control what other people do or say, but we can control our own reactions.
So it's about finding that inner peace and stability, that sense of equanimity, regardless of what's happening around us.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that true freedom comes from within. It's about cultivating a mindset of resilience, acceptance, and gratitude. It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience with an open heart and a curious mind.
This has been such an insightful conversation. It's made me realize that freedom isn't a destination. It's a journey. It's something we cultivate each and every day through our choices, our actions, and our commitment to living in alignment with our authentic selves.
It's an ongoing process of self-discovery, growth, and liberation. And the more we embrace that journey, the more freedom we experience in all areas of our lives.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration of freedom here on the Future Strong podcast. We hope this conversation has sparked some new insights and inspired you to cultivate more freedom in your own life.